Welcome back, folks. This is Peter Smaniak, the health of your gut, the engine room to human life. We're through session 1 where we learned a number of aspects around how to identify and look back and then determine in the present what could be going on within our gut. In this session, we have some exciting information that we wish to release. Before doing so, we wish you to note that the material and statements made in this course are an account of my own personal experiences, as well as a collection of a lifetime of study of different experts within the realm of health. The material contained herein is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, but is for information purposes only. Please read the rest of the disclaimer at your convenience. Now, our philosophy with food is that food or no food for this session can clean and heal. Through the sessions, in session 1, we were looking at, once again, identifying gut risks. In this session, we're looking at cleansing, how to remove these toxins that accumulate within the body. In session 3, we would still be looking at restoring, bringing into balance. In session 4, we're going to be looking at feeding and nourishing the gut. So let's kick off and have a look into session 2 in what's available during this time. Your journey, and especially your cleansing journey, one needs to ask these questions. How did I get to this level of toxicity, this level of blockage or discomfort? We looked back in the earlier session to try and determine potential causes, but we also looked at potential tests that one can do to be able to highlight what could be going on, potential food intolerances, potential conditions. Once we understand this, and once we understand how we accumulated this level of toxicity, we're able to answer the question, where to now? And during this session, I hope for the cleansing journey, you'll be able to get a kickstart to where you need to go. Now, most doctors respond to complaints of constipation by recommending a laxative, which is essentially a drug, a pharmaceutical drug. What we know is laxative sales in the last 4 years have exceeded $2.7 billion US. Now, one can easily conclude that constipation, which ironically is often drug-induced, is very serious and is a major health concern in the United States, as is now in many other westernized societies, where it continues to spread. Digestive orders are becoming prevalent in many other countries as well. Imagine now that you could do this and heal your digestive order challenge, issue, problem by adapting what is eaten and what you drink. Now, what we did in the first session is we briefly looked over the digestive system. Now what we'd like to do, and folks, this is important to be able to understand how food travels. And this is very high level, and we are only scratching the surface. Now, the small intestine is the portal for absorption of virtually all nutrients into the blood. The small bowel is divided up into 3 parts. The duodenum, where digestion takes place, which is about 10 inches long. Then you've got the jejunum for both digestion and absorption, which is approximately 9 feet long, and the ileum for absorption, which is approximately another 13 feet long. The net effect of passage through the small intestine is all about absorption of most of the water and the electrolytes. Those electrolytes, sodium, chloride, potassium, and essentially all dietary organic molecules, which include the glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids. Through these activities, the small intestine not only provides the nutrients to the body, but plays a critical role in the water and acid-base balance. Now, the large intestine is called the colon, which is 5 feet long and divided into 6 sections. Each section of this colon has been linked to different organs and glands of the body and has an effect upon these tissues. And this is beneficial or non-beneficial. You will find all your genetic weaknesses in the colon first, so it is said, then reflected to the organ, gland, nerve, or other tissues within the body. So if you encountered other health conditions along the way, there is a high chance that the gut was the first to be affected. Many times, just left untreated and accepted as it is, it ends up in a very disastrous way. Now, with that said, your bowels take the brunt of abuse from acidic, toxic foods and drinks. Many of these foods inflame and weaken the structure. Some foods act like glue and actually adhere to its walls. Many other foods are so abrasive that they cause excessive mucus to be produced from the intestinal walls to protect itself. This leads now to a toxic buildup and the accumulation of a gluey substance throughout the intestines called mucoid plaque. This plaque now causes inflammation and the breakdown of tissues of the intestinal walls. Now, this mucoid plaque is mostly a byproduct of refined starches, sugars, and dairy products. Now, you know, if you have an intolerance to a dairy product and you've had more than what you should have, or even in some instances very little, you get a blocked nose. Too much dairy could lead into a postnasal drip. So these intolerances in the body create this mucoid plaque, which is a breeding ground for parasitic infestation. Now, these destructive parasites, they consume any remaining nutrients left in the GI tract. How important to be able to ingest the right amount of nutrients for the body. It's not only us eating, there are many other mouths to feed, they say. So we require certain intestinal parasites, as you would know and hear more about, known as intestinal flora. But for positive breakdown of various byproducts of digestion, we need a balance, a homeostasis. Now, knowing this, would one know if there's a secret to being well? Does this wellness come from the gut? It is said that the secret to health is the intestines and colon and the health thereof. So now, if one looks at the body as a tree, the GI tract can be considered as the central column or trunk of the tree. Every organ and gland can be considered as one of the branches emanating from this trunk. So is this a secret or mystery to being well in having a optimized and sufficient and efficient gut system? Perhaps secret isn't the most accurate word we can use. Maybe lack of knowledge or know-how, might be a better choice. You can ask any doctor to explain the role of the intestines and how they function in the body. And I'm quite certain they will not be able to give you a definitive answer. So one can ask, why is this? It's very simple. Doctors are not being taught to prevent disease. With respect to doctors, there's a purpose for all things. So now, let me give you an example. Statin drugs are another prime example. These drugs artificially lower cholesterol in the body. Now, but cholesterol is one of the main anti-acids and increases mainly due to high toxicity levels and inflammation. Now, what's better? Pay attention and address the cause of the blinking warning signal in the car, or just tear it out and keep going as before? I don't understand it. The alarm goes off, so take out the siren that's making the noise. That is why the majority of medicines do the body more harm than good. Nothing the body does is in random. Now, and consciously being in touch with your body will bring about greater healing in shorter time than anything else you can do. We need to listen to the body and support it in achieving a better state of health, which is the body's prime focus. Always wrongly interfering and suppressing vital functions, our advice never was. Listen to the body. So now, if one looks at this body as a tree, and the GI tract can be considered the central column or the tree trunk, every organ and every gland, those branches, we should have an idea of how important the GI tract is to us, as all tissue is connected to it directly via the nervous system. It is fairly common for concerns in the GI tract to be reflex to other parts of the body, causing issues there. One can one can feel pain in the knee when in fact the issue lies with a specific part of the colon. And even in instances where there's chronic back pain, could be middle back, lower back, so many times this is not only coming from a weak muscular abdominal structure, but also what's going on in your GI tract. Now, another prime example that we can give you now is constipation or lymphatic congestion in the transverse section of the colon, causing reflex symptoms in the head, typically leading to headaches and or lymphatic issues in that region. Now, we've seen it before that 80% of the signals are sent from the gut to the head, and they say around 20% is from the head to the gut. So whatever's happening in the body is mainly being controlled from the gut. The colon is best known now for its role in digestion and excretion of food residues. The importance of regular and consistent bowel movements can't be stressed enough. Now, constipation and diarrhea are decidedly undesirable. 2 to 3 well-formed bowel movements per day is the ideal, and one should, at the absolute minimum, at least have 1 per day. Now, I know in my instance, I've been rather regular, but I meet many clients that some clients only have 1 bowel movement a week. I've met one client that has been with us for a very long time that didn't go for 40 days until she came to me. That was in the initial days. And slowly but surely, one has to remove this mucoid plaque that's built up in this colon. And with constipation, this leads to high toxicity levels and diarrhea, to various chronic deficiencies. So those who suffer from constipation, peristalsis is controlled by the nervous system, which is linked to the adrenal glands, and their production of neurotransmitters. Now, this is the reason why coffee and cigarettes or other stimulants for the adrenal glands can trigger a bowel movement. However, just remember that stimulating glands always has its flip side. We need the system well and not be putting in these stimulants to be able to get the system to move. The increase in activity causes other waste products as well as stress to the cells involved. Thus, a quicker breakdown of the tissue itself. Best is to strengthen adrenal glands and eat more energy-rich foods with respect to dynamic energy, as this will support the nervous system. So many foods create what we call a debt to the system. It's just building up a continuous liability. As an example of a herbal supplement, seek out, if you can, a blend that contains more natural herbs, something that's not too abrasive straight away. Using a unique combination also provides a perfect way to maintain digestive health. What you're trying to do is keep a system clean. So whatever you can do to keep it clean, do so. Something that acts as a dewormer, something that gets the colon moving without causing bloating is very important. Now there are a number of other herbal supplements on the market, and I've seen these and I've tested some of them in the past just to see how they behave in my body. And one has to be very careful how and when and how much water one is taking during this time. Otherwise, you can really clog up your system even more so. So folks, this is end of part 1 of session 2, where we looked at a number of aspects around the intestines and the colon. And going into part 2 of session 2, we are going to get deeper into how to clean the gut. This is Peter Smaniak, and I will see you in part 2 of session 2.